We start the first topic of conversation with one of the questions and one of the thoughts from you, the fans. And it's on Bill O'Brien, offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien here at Alabama. And among the 80 comments I received from Twitter, quite a few of them were on you guys excited about Bill O'Brien. You want to know, what is he going to do? What's his offensive philosophy? How is he going to help the quarterbacks? How is he going to help the running backs? How is he going to help the receivers? You guys really excited about what can Bill O'Brien do his first spring with the Crimson Tide back in college football at Alabama under Nick Saban with all of his talent he is going to get to work with. So the question I'm proposing to you, the fans, what should you expect? What should we expect from Bill O'Brien in his first spring? What should our expectations be? What should we anticipate in the first spring of Bill O'Brien, just geared toward he's replacing one Steve Sarkisian, and a guy of whom we look at that had Alabama last season averaging 48.5 points per game. That's the most of the Nick Saban era. That was the most in the SEC a season ago. Alabama had 11 40-point games of his past season. Sarkisian had this offense as electric as they come. And while there are times where we hate comparisons, we hate being compared to other people. I mean, in relationships, my men out there, in relationships, my fellas, you don't like it when your woman compares you to her ex. You can't stand that. But it happens because, the women look at, how is this man going to be different from my ex? How is this man going to make me better than, what my ex tried to do to me? And vice versa, for women out there, men hate it when we compare the current girl to our ex-bae. So comparisons are out there. In college football, where that is concerned, when you look at, Paul Bear Bryant, Coach Bryant was amazing here, but Bill Curry, Ray Perkins, they were always compared to Coach Bryant, and they could not really live up to what Coach Bryant was able to provide. That's the reason why the old saying is, you want to be the person that follows the guy that failed following the legend, because then the expectations aren't that high for you. But in the case of Bill O'Brien, what should we expect from him? What should our anticipation be? Should we expect for him to be Steve Sarkisian-esque here in the upcoming season? Because if you look at the career of Bill O'Brien, he was a head coach at Penn State, did a lot of big things there with the Nittany Lions, where the quarterback room was concerned, whether it was with Matt McGloin or Christian Hackenberg. He popped out, a 1,000-yard back. He popped out, a 1,000-yard receiver. He had playmakers at Penn State, and he was able to make that offense really successful prior to, of course, James Franklin coming into the fold there. I mean, after he left Penn State, he goes to before he went to Penn State, he was at the New England Patriots as an offensive assistant from 2007 to 2011, the biggest year, the 2011 campaign where he was the offensive coordinator, and it was the lone season where Tom Brady had over 5,000 passing yards. He did big things with Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis at running back. He took the likes of Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez and made them big weapons there at the tight end position as receiving options. And then for the Houston Texans, we saw what he did with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, with DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver prior to Hopkins going to the Arizona Cardinals, and the tight ends that Houston had, and also the running backs the Texans were able to bring in. And I had a conversation with a dear friend of mine. The guy's like a brother to me. I had not physically seen him for about 2 years prior to a couple of weeks ago. He came down, we popped open a cold can of Sprite, and we had a conversation here on the couch. We talked ball for about 3 hours. And when I brought up the fact that O'Brien is now in Alabama, of course, my buddy, a Patriots fan, that's his team right there. So when I brought up O'Brien at Alabama, he was like, dude, you guys are about to average 52 points a game. I'm like, whoa, you kidding me? He said, dude, you guys are about to average 52 points per game with Bill O'Brien. He said, hold on now. I'll scale it back. You'll average 42 points a game with Bill O'Brien. Easily, 42 a game. But in my heart of hearts, y'all will average 52, but I'll scale it back 42. So that's kind of his expectation of what he wants to see from Bill O'Brien. But what do you as the fans expect from Coach O'Brien in his first spring here with the Crimson Tide? I'm going to give you sort of my expectations right now. So for me, when I look at Coach Bill O'Brien, and he enters a situation this spring to where he's got to replace the number one quarterback in Mac Jones, the number one running back in Najee Harris, two number one receivers in Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith, three starters on the offensive line in Landon Dickerson, Alex Leatherwood, and Deontay Brown. So to me, here are my expectations for Bill O'Brien. First and foremost, at least, got to have a 3,000-yard passer. Got to have a 3,000-yard quarterback. And with him working with three very talented scholarship guys on the roster, Bryce Young, Paul Tyson, Jalen Milroe. I understand all three of these guys don't have the biggest of football experiences at the University of Alabama, but I do expect with Bill O'Brien's mindset of he puts a lot on the quarterback. He put a lot on Tom Brady. He put a lot on Deshaun Watson in terms of pre-snap and post-snap reads, checking the protection schemes, getting the team into the right play, doing a lot of play action, taking deep shots down the field, taking what the defense gives you, as well as making sure your offense is explosive. So Bill O'Brien did a lot of things there with quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's going to put a lot on whomever the starter is in Alabama. So at least a 3,000-yard passer. Behind that, I could see two 1,000-yard rushers. I really can. And this goes back to O'Brien wants to use the running backs. He wants to have the balance. He wants to have the ground and pound. He used to rotate 2 and 3 backs in and out during his time at New England and with the Houston Texans. With Alabama having 7 guys on the roster, the last time it had 2 1,000-yard rushers was 2012. Eddie Lacy and TJ Yeldon. I can 100% see that happening. Behind that, I look at 3 800-plus yard receivers. 3 800-plus yard guys. Now, I expect to see a 1,000-yard receiver, and whether that's John Mechie, whether that's Javon Baker, whether that's Slade Bolden, or whether that's Jaleel Billingsley, I expect for at least to be one 1,000-yard receiver, but at the least, 3 guys that can total at least 800 receiving yards or more. And then last but not least, I expect for Bill O'Brien to have his offense averaging at least 42 points per game. I know Steve Sarkisian had it at 48.5, that clip right there, but I expect Bill O'Brien on my end at least 42 points per game. But starting off this spring, getting the right guys with all this talent that you have to pop and be successful. But for you, the fans, what should we expect, or what do you expect this spring, first spring at Alabama, from one Bill O'Brien? Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.